Hey everybody, Doug Moore here. I'm really excited to be here and talk to you about some of the things I've learned in running a company and running sales and really being a sales coach over the last 30 years. It's embarrassing to admit I've been doing it that long, but I really have a passion for sales, and what I enjoy more than anything else is really teaching other people about it. And so I'm going to share with you some of the things I've learned, and I hope it's a blessing to you and it helps your company and helps you personally in sales. But I want to give you a little bit of background and kind of tell you how I struggled and then what I did to overcome it. I started a publishing company back in 1984, and we did really well. We were fortunate because we had really good work ethic, we had a great team of people, and we ran sales the same way that everybody else runs it, and that's we got a call list and we pounded the phones. And I mean, we pounded and pounded and pounded. And we had a sales script, and we had a pre-close, and the same stuff you read out of every book about how to sell. And we were successful, and we were able to launch a number of magazines. There were a couple of problems with it. One is we were completely exhausted by the end of the day and the end of the week. It's just, I don't know how many no's we get in a given day, but it was tough. We also had a tremendous amount of turnover because most people couldn't take that much rejection. And then the third thing is selling like that gives you almost no customer retention. And after 4 or 5 years of that, I really felt like there had to be a better way. And so I started reading and trying to find other ideas and get other concepts about what might be a better way to deliver as good a results, but maybe not be under quite so much stress. And we started something, and this was literally almost 30 years ago, where we changed our model from presentation to discovery. It was a radical change. I mean, we went from having a sales script where people went through the same line over and over and over again to a list of questions. And so we moved toward uncovering need and then filling need instead of just pounding somebody and saying, we're going to sell you what we got. And it was like somebody turned the light on for us. And we started having, sales went up, per person sales went up, customer retention went up, and turnover went down. And I thought, why didn't somebody show me this before? And so the last 25 or 30 years, I've been using that to drive sales for our companies and for other companies that we've worked with. And it's just been a great ride. And so as promised, I want to give you some things that I think will really help you in terms of building sales within your company. So this message is for you if you're the owner of the company or CEO or vice president of sales or sales manager, or you're a sales guy that really wants to have success and make more money. You want to build a customer base of people that want to hear from you, buy from you regularly, and see you as a friend and someone who solves problems instead of somebody they're trying to avoid on the phone every time. And so if you're tired of people not taking your calls and giving you the same answers every time you call, making excuses, then you'll like this because it totally changes your positioning so that instead of being a salesman, you're somebody that's solving problems. So the first thing I want to talk about is you have to perfect your message, right? So as a company, what problem do you really solve, right? So and it's amazing to me when I see companies message on a billboard or in an ad or on television. Sometimes trade shows are the worst. We own a trade show company. We had a contract to run marketing at the top 200 trade shows in the world, and we ran training for companies on how to better present at a trade show. And you would go to these manufacturing trade shows and you'd look and they would have all this information up behind the booth about technical specs and features and so on, and people would walk by and you'd sort of glance at them and it would all be a blur, when all they really need to say is, what problem does our company solve? So you have to stop for a second and think, now, what do we solve? What real pain do we resolve? What does somebody really, what do we do that somebody has to have, right? Not maybe what they want, but what they truly need. What does our company do? And so your messaging has to be about solving pain instead of about constantly trying to give somebody all the features and benefits, because the features and benefits don't work. So you have to start with saying, as a company, whether you're the salesman or the CEO, the owner or sales manager, what is our true calling? What do we do for companies? What do they love us for? What do they keep coming back to us for? And that's really what our message needs to be. The second thing is to do what we did as a company, and that's to change the sales process from presentation to discovery, right? So you think about how most sales presentations go. You get somebody on the phone and you start telling about how great your company is, and about how many other people do you think are calling that guy, giving him a similar message every day. It doesn't really matter if you're selling insurance or if you're selling media. You're telling them how great you are. Think about when you meet somebody for the first time. So, you know, if you think about when you were dating and you met some girl for the first time. What if all you do is talk about how great you are? Talk about all the things you've done and how many things. What's going to happen? You're out. I mean, she wants nothing else to do with you. She don't want to hear you. She don't want to talk to you. But what if you start asking good questions? You know, asking questions about her and about, you know, her family or whatever. I'm not trying to teach you guys how to date, you know, but I'm just, it's the same thing in business. So if you want to build rapport with somebody, you start out by asking really good questions. And if you do that, then they're going to tell you where their pain points are. So I'm going to give you, if you don't write down anything else that you hear from me today, I want you to get a pencil and piece of paper right now and write this down, because this is the real secret. So the secret is, ask the question that really matters, right? And that's really, where does it hurt? And I'll give you guys an example. We were in the publishing business. We launched dozens of magazines. We had a number of media properties, including websites. We launched Scout.com. We launched a magazine for Jack Nicklaus called Nicklaus. We had Private Air. We had iSource. We also had a number of real estate related clients. In fact, we had 20 5-star developments around the Caribbean, Central America, and so we came in and did turnkey sales and marketing, and in some cases it was just consulting. And it was amazing to me that these developers would spend literally millions of dollars getting the absolute optimal land plan for the piece of real estate they had. They had incredible architects. They would have just fabulous interior design. I mean, it was just all over the top. And they didn't have a clue how to attract and sell clients for real estate, particularly North Americans. Most of our guys are international clients, international developers who are trying to attract Americans. And we changed. So one of our clients was a project called Reserva Conchal down in Costa Rica. Reserva Conchal is the number one golf course in Central America, 423-room hotel. We built a $10 million beach club. If you guys ever want to go to Costa Rica, you got to go to Reserva Conchal. I mean, it is off the charts. And they had been in development project for 7 years. They had success. We came in and handled turnkey sales and marketing. As I started looking around at what they were doing, I didn't need to make any changes to marketing, because the people who would buy their products were already there. They had 423 rooms. They had people coming in every day who wanted to be in Costa Rica, and they were having a great time on their vacation. It was a matter of pulling those people in and turning them into full-time real estate buyers. And so I built a list of questions that got to the one question that really mattered. And it wasn't, how many children do you have? How many bedrooms do you want? You know, do you want to be on the ocean? Do you want to, you need, you know, beach? I mean, none of that stuff really mattered. Here's what mattered. So this is what the question you have to answer. In that case, for real estate, it was, why would I want to own a second home in Costa Rica? I mean, really, what would motivate me to spend, and this was 4 or 5 star project. The average price of a condominium or a home there was $850,000. So why would I do that? I mean, I knew when they got back home, their buddies were going to say, have you lost your mind? You know, you bought an $850,000 condominium in Costa Rica. What are you thinking? I mean, were you drinking too much, you know, when you were there? So here's the question. Why would you want to own a second home in somewhere else in Costa Rica? And what we discovered is their answer, when I asked them enough, fit into 3 or 4 very distinct categories. One was someone who wanted to leave a legacy of memories for their children, their grandchildren. So if you could buy an $850,000 second home in Costa Rica, you'd had some success. You had to have some wealth in order to be able to afford it. And what you really wanted was time with your family. You wanted time with your children, your grandchildren. So when you were gone, you left them with those memories, right? You can leave them money, but at the end of the day, what you really want is to leave memories for them. And so when we could get our prospects in touch with why they really were considering buying a second home in Costa Rica, we had them. Then it was a matter of the details, right? Then the details become, how many bedrooms do you need? You know, do you want to be on the ocean? Do you need to be by the pool? All those things. And any time we got to a place where I felt like we were losing them, I would remind them of why they really wanted to do it in the first place. And when they got back, and they made their initial deposit, and they got back to California, wherever they were going, the first thing I did was remind them about why they had made the decision. What's the pain, right? And it's the same thing no matter what you're selling. If you can uncover a real pain point for a prospect, and then you can fill need, it's magical. And it totally changes the relationship between you and the client, because now you're an ally. You're actually providing something for them they really have to have, or they really feel like they need. And it changed the dynamic. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is, if you make this change from presentation mode to discovery mode, and you go deliver a fabulous message to your sales team and your whole company about, this is what we really do, this is the problem we solve, this is the list of questions we're going to ask so that we get them in touch with their pain or their need, we're going to fill need. If you don't take that and train on a consistent basis, then it won't work. You have to have regularly scheduled training. And there's really 2 important aspects of training. The first one, I'll give you a great example, is sales meetings. Nobody hates sales meetings more than salesmen. I mean, it's the same thing. You guys have been in sales meetings or had sales meetings. You call everybody in. People go through their account list. You go through the numbers. Hey guys, you got to do better. You know, how many calls you make last week? Send them out on the road. Come back in again next week or next month. It's the same thing over again. But what if you brought them in and you could tell them stories about successes where you got in touch with somebody's pain, you filled a need, and now you have a customer for life. Right? You walk through the questions, and it's not necessarily what you say, but how you say it. How do you ask the question? How many times do you have to ask the question so that you get the real answer? And you have to do it every week. You have to do it all the time. The second thing about it, we wanted to build sales leaders, not sales managers. And they had every title in the world, from associate publisher to national sales manager, regional sales manager, to vice president of sales, to regional vice president of sales, every name but in every case, I wanted them to lead. And so the way they led was when we had new people come in and we wanted to train them, is we wanted our leaders to show our team how to do it, right? I'm working on a project now. We've got an incredible social media project. We've got sales guys throughout the country that are working on the project. And the way that I've launched it with them is they set calls up and I help them. I get on the phone, they hear me go through the process of questions, uncovering need, and then I just want them to emulate me. It's a lot easier when you think about training. I mean, I love to coach. I've been coaching my whole life. I'm not a good enough athlete to be coaching sports. I'd be doing that. But I can coach sales. And in every case, I want to be a player's coach, right? I want to be a guy, when we have a sales meeting, I want it to be something people want to come into. I want them to leave there motivated and excited and with a new piece of information they didn't have before. When I get on I want to lead, so when they bring in a client on a sales call, I want to use the tools and techniques that I've trained them, so that then I say, look, just follow me, right? I'm going to lead you, follow me. And if you'll learn to do that, and you'll build a sales organization around that kind of activity, look, people will follow you anywhere. And it will change the dynamics of your business. The last thing I really want to touch on, and this is critical for any company, and that is, how do you really keep a sales organization or organization of any kind motivated? And it's tough. I mean, most of the time we've got salespeople spread around the country. We're trying to manage, multiple functions, and there are really only three types of motivation: fear, incentive, and attitude. And when we owned Vulcan Publishing, I ran a sales manager training program twice a year. It lasted 16 weeks, and you could not move up in the company without going through it. And the reason we did it is because I wanted to teach our people how to lead and motivate their people the right way. I don't want to do it through fear and manipulation. I want to do it by helping people learn how to set personal goals, and we integrate those personal goals into the company goals. Once I know, if I have a salesperson who says, my goal is to sell $1 million this year, and the result of that is $100,000 in income, then if I'm close enough to him that I can clearly understand what he plans to do with $100,000, right? Is he going to move so that he's got his kid in a better school district? Is he sending money to his mom and dad? Is he building for retirement? Are they planning a trip to the Bahamas? If I know specifically what he's working toward, I've got a much better chance to keep him motivated on a daily basis. The second piece of that, in terms of motivating through sales goals, is if I've got somebody whose goal is to sell $1 million and he did a $700,000 last year, then the question becomes, what changes does he need to make? What skills does he need to pick up? What activities does he need to engage in he didn't engage in last year in order to accomplish that goal, right? So I have to set goals for becoming before I can set goals for having. So as a leader, I have to be able to show him how to do that and tell him, hey, Jim over here, or Mary, sold $1 million too. Let me tell you what you did. So here are the things you're doing great. And here are the things, if we can work on this year, you get to $1 million. Now, where do you think you are in terms of building trust and loyalty out of that employee at the end of the year when he hits those goals? And he's able to accomplish those things for his family. So people will only tell you what it's going to take to truly motivate them if they believe you care about them. And so you got to be honest and honorable. If you're not, it won't work. The same thing's true with filling need. If you make promises to clients that you know you can't keep, you'll never have them as long-term customers. So to summarize what we talked about, the four things you really need to do to improve sales and maximize the value of your company from a sales standpoint is, first, let's get the right message, right? So what problem does your company really solve? In other words, what thing are you doing for your clients that they keep coming back for? What do they have to have for you? And if that's not your primary marketing message and your message as a company, then you're missing the mark, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is, we need to change our position from a sales standpoint, so that instead of having 90% of our time and energy in presentation, we've got 90% of our energy in discovery and understanding the client's needs. And they're going to tell you what it's going to take to sell them if you learn to ask the right questions. So the questions become, what problem does the client have that you can really solve? Because I'm going to tell you, if they don't have a problem you can solve, there's not going to be a sale anyway. So we got to get to that. The third thing is you have to train, guys, and you need this takes real responsibility on your part. You have to be willing to be a leader, and if you can't do it, find somebody that can help you. You know, we do it all the time, but you have to lead by showing someone how to go close those sales and to make them, and to lead them in a way that they want to follow you. Show them how to do it instead of tell them. Train on a consistent basis. We've got, your sales meetings need to be exciting. When somebody walks out of there, they need to be fired up about going. Give them great stories of success. Arm them with case studies, and really have them, when they leave there, they're in a better position to make the next sale than they were the last time. We've got a fabulous tool called 52 Sales Meetings in a Bottle that is just dynamite, and it helps people do that. And then the fourth thing is, you have to keep your team motivated. And don't think they're going to be self-motivated, because if they were, they're probably the owner of the company, right? So get them in touch with their goals. Show them how to make the personal changes they need to make in order to accomplish their goals. Sales will go up, you'll have employees for life and clients for life. Guys, I hope this has been a help to you. I've enjoyed being with you, and I love coaching. Let me tell you what I want you to do. If you've enjoyed this and you feel like you've gotten something out of it, and you have friends that would benefit from it, or colleagues, then just below the video there's a share button. So you can share through Facebook or YouTube or Twitter, and send it to your buddies, and hopefully they'll be blessed by it as well. The second thing is, we have a weekly email video blog, and I'm happy to provide a sales video for you that you can come to every week, and maybe it will help you and your team, and you'll be able to move further along. No charge, and we don't share your email address. And then the final thing is, we have a handful of clients that we consult with. We really help them walk through the process of things that we've talked about, in terms of really uncovering the right set of questions and discovering need. And for the clients that we've worked with in the past, we have a 100% hit record. Now, I've never taken on a client that we didn't increase sales. For our client at Reserve Conchal, they've been there 7 years. We took over sales of the project, increased sales 400% in the first 90 days. Now, I'm not telling you that will happen, but we've had great success, and we have a pretty good feel for what will work and what won't work. So for the first 20 people who fill out the survey below, just click on the button below and fill out a survey that just tells us a little something about your company and what your needs are and where you think you have some sales growth opportunity. For those first 20 people, I'll provide a 30-minute consult, no charge. And we'll go over some of these things and maybe help you come up with some great ideas for questions your team should be asking. And for those that want our help and really are in a position that they think they've got a great product, a great company, and they're not maximizing sales, then maybe there's an opportunity for us to help consult and coach. And I'm a natural coach, and that's what I love doing. So fill out the survey below, and maybe we'll have a chance to talk on the phone. Thanks again, and God bless all of you.